Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony Billy Crystal sneezed and tore a rib muscle.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. You think that's bad? I broke wind and my hair fell out.
Ooh. But see, Crystal sneezed once and broke a rib. For your hair to fall out, there must have been a real root tooting going on, if you know what I'm saying.
There actually was.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Let me tell you this. They pretty much had to clear the aircraft. That's the way that worked. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, LeBron is frustrated, the Dodgers are rolling, and the Rockets are for sale. But we begin today with comments Michael Vick made about Colin Kaepernick to our friend Jason Whitlock. Although Vick specifically referenced Kaepernick's lack of production lately and specifically appreciated the political stand Kaepernick took with regard to the national anthem, what people have seized on is this quote from Vick, quote, "First thing we've got to get Colin to do is cut his hair. Just go clean cut," unquote. Kaepernick retaliated to that by tweeting out the definition of Stockholm Syndrome, where people identify with their captors. Wilbon, what do you make of all of this?
There's a lot of wild overstatement going on. First of all, I'm disappointed in Michael Vick. I'm disappointed in the NFL more so than Michael Vick. And you know where I'm going with this. I believe, and I've told you this from the first day of January, that Colin Kaepernick is being blackballed, and I don't believe he'll be in the league. If he's in the league, it's only because 20 guys get hurt in summer camp. But I'm disappointed in Michael Vick, a guy who had to go to jail, had to go away.
That's right.
For dog killing. And now we're talking about perception being more important than something very real and heinous. I'm disappointed in Vick because Vick used to wear his hair in a way that people might have perceived as a turnoff on him. And now I think the only place that we've become accepting in the last 50 years is hair. And it took 50 years. You used to wear a big red afro.
When I had it.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, so afros are not turning people off anymore, I don't think. And neither are cornrows. People can wear their hair. That's the only thing we accept. And it took us 50 years to get there. I don't know what Vick was talking about.
I think that we've reached the point in the Colin Kaepernick situation where there is no nuance anymore. You are either with Colin Kaepernick completely or you are perceived as being against him. And if you are perceived as being against him, you run the risk of people calling you a bigot. And if you are perceived as being with him, you run the risk of people calling you on another side un-American. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground. Michael Vick, in this particular case, gets the ire of Colin Kaepernick for this one specific statement that everybody focuses on. He talked about perception and he talked about imagery. And I think what you said before is important. And Michael Vick went to jail. Michael Vick committed a crime. Colin Kaepernick did not commit a crime. So he didn't do that. But Michael Vick is now being cast aside. Colin Kaepernick's angry at Michael Vick.
Yeah, and
he has thrown him away, basically saying, you're kowtowing to the man.
And, of course, Vick tried to walk this back, and I thought that was the walk back was acceptable.
I still think that he's going to be in the league at this point. But I just... There's no debate anymore on Colin Kaepernick. There's not. No, there's
there is.
You take sides.
There's no nuance, no subtlety, like you said.
Yes. And I agree with you. That's what we have lost. There's no attempt to understand. Here is Michael Vick saying, I agree with his political stance, and you got to understand that maybe he's not in the league because he wasn't productive lately. And this is a case of the loudest soundbite drowning out all the reasonable things. I don't like it.
But did he know Michael Vick understands media. He had years where he was on different sides of it and understood how to play it. He knows that soundbite's going to be out there. Michael's a pretty thoughtful guy.
I think that Michael Vick in this case was actually trying to help Colin Kaepernick.
And it just backfired?
Well,
but
yes.
to cut the hair, really?
Yes, but because
Michael
you can't say that.
Vick's a black man in America. He understands what that means. He understands that if a white person said that, I mean, the outrage.
Let me just say this.
Michael gets that.
If this was a retired white quarterback who said this, please.
That's
conflagration at that point. Please.
There's plenty of follow-up chatter on the Kirk Cousins decision to pass on the Redskins' long-term contract offer and play under another one-year franchise tag, albeit for $24 million. Bill Barnwell, writing for ESPN.com, suggests the Redskins, instead of losing Cousins for nothing at the end of the season, trade him now, get something. Before training camp even. Adam Schefter makes the same point on ESPN Radio here in D.C. this morning. Tony, would you trade Cousins, Kurt or Kirk, before the season even begins?
He is not going to sign ever with the Washington Redskins. He's just not. I mean, reasonable people.
Unless he has a bad season and he sort of undercuts his own value.
Somebody else. Well, then they won't sign because they don't like him. Okay, Bruce Allen doesn't like him. Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen spent 4 or 5 years loving Robert Griffin III.
Yeah.
And disdaining Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins felt that. He steamed about this whole thing.
Paid him
I would try to trade
about $80 million by the time we get to the end of this contract.
They're forced to do that because they franchise.
Okay.
I would try to trade him right now. I would talk to San Francisco. I would talk to Los Angeles, where the coaches there, the head coaches were coordinators before. I would try. I'd look to see what can I get because he's going to play essentially, Mike. He's going to play under protest this year.
Yeah,
don't you think?
You know what? Interesting you use under protest coming off the Kaepernick story, but you know what, Tony? A season changes everything. We've seen it a million times. Suppose Kirk Cousins plays and leads the Redskins to an NFC championship game or even a Super Bowl.
Right.
And they throw the confetti on him right here in metropolitan D.C., and everybody hugs and kisses, and they throw around some more money. And you know what? You want to keep Tony, 1 season? What are you going to get back for Kirk Cousins this season?
The indication that he doesn't want to stay here is that, and I do believe this part, he made no counteroffer whatsoever.
Wait. I agree with you in that.
He wants to leave.
What I'm saying is a season. Suppose they go 14-2, and he's the MVP.
Fine.
You don't think all this changes?
Can I give you the other side of that?
Sure.
That last year when they had a chance to make the playoffs, he had 2 games against Carolina and the New York Giants in which he was terrible.
Couldn't get it done.
In which he was terrible. And I understand the skepticism on the part of management. And I understand the skepticism on the part of Cousins, which is why you trade him if you can.
Do you understand that Virginia accent thing? Do you understand that?
No, I don't understand that.
Kirk always sounds like Kirk.
I don't.
You don't get that?
I don't get that. But you pointed it
We've
out
only
5
lived
times.
here for 80 years total. We've never heard it.
I don't understand deep southern Virginia at all. The Tidewater area, that's hard for me. The hottest team in baseball is Los Angeles Dodgers. They have won 42 of their last 53 games and 29 of their last 33. That 42-11 pace would give them 128 wins in a full season. Now, the Dodgers are basically known for Clayton Kershaw and then taking the gas pipe in the playoffs. But this year they hit and they pitch. Wilbon, is this just a hot streak? Or are we looking at a super team?
Stop with the super team. I don't want to hear this from super team. I don't want to hear anybody from baseball, the baseball seam heads, trying to now bring in the basketball analogy. Because super team means, by definition, you've got Hall of Famers out there who are going to get you to the finals. We don't know that about baseball. This team doesn't have any automatic Hall of Famers right now. Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw is a Hall of Famer.
What does super team mean? What have we spent all spring talking about with super team? It means you have 3 or 4 guys who are headed to the Hall of Fame. They got one.
Are they good? Well, they got one that you can identify right now.
Yeah. The Cubs last year did this.
Yes.
The Astros last week were a super team. Everybody's got a super team. Everything's not the greatest thing of all time. The Dodgers right now are fabulous.
They've got a guy. They've got a pitcher who I never heard of until this morning, whose name is Alex Wood. He's 11-0 with a 1.56 ERA. Nobody's ever heard of anybody on their staff other than Rich Hill.
Well, you're not a super team then.
Because Clayton Kershaw sucks the air out of every conversation because he's been that good. Right, where he has not been that good. I think, you know who gets a lot of credit to me? The GM.
Of course.
Andrew Friedman, who worked with Joe Madden at Tampa Bay and built those teams that did very well under Joe Madden. This guy must be terrific. And this guy, and I know you hate analytics, this guy's an analytics guy, as is Theo Epstein, an analytics guy.
There's just deep, smart scouting going on. Yasiel Puig was sent down to the minors last year.
Because he was a disciplinary
The guy Turner, the third baseman, he was a free agent.
Got 100 home runs.
Because don't tell me that this is Durant and Curry or LeBron and Wade. Don't tell me that.
Can I just
it's not a super team.
mention to you that you are the only one that has mentioned an NBA team.
Super team automatically conjures NBA. It's an NBA phrase. Yes, don't use it. Have you heard super team before the Warriors and the Cavaliers?
I heard it with the Yankees for 40 years.
Oh, you did not.
And I heard it with the Patriots for 15.
Well,
I actually did.
No, because I was there too and I never heard it.
It's because you had.
And I got Q-tips.
You know what? You must have those Stanley Cup rings in your ears that you can't hear anything, Patrick Roy.
3 of them, not the Rangers. They don't have.
They must have that.
They got one from.
They got one.
Years ago.
Thank you.
You rolled your eyes yesterday at the end of the show.
Every day.
Well, specifically,
I'm so amazed you show up.
When it was mentioned that LeBron, who authored Super Team, is frustrated with the Cavaliers' inability so far to improve the roster this summer. They're not a super team, apparently. USA Today reports that LeBron frets about not staying right on the bumper of the Warriors, said super team. LeBron, the report says, was miffed that the Cavaliers cut ties with GM David Griffin while Jimmy Butler was still in play, and the Cavaliers have been quiet since. Tony, is LeBron's concern legit? Are the Cavaliers falling further and further and further behind the Dubs?
You know that I think LeBron James is the best player in basketball.
Yep.
You know I think he's thoughtful. You know I really like him.
I know you do.
I hate this story because it's an annual story. It's an
He
annual story.
applies the leverage.
It is
Uses the
LeBron's
leverage.
right. It is
Applies the
LeBron's way of jamming it to Dan Gilbert, who he hates every single year.
Luxury
And he
tax,
says,
baby.
Dan Gilbert isn't spending enough money.
Get into
Even
that
though
tax.
he gave LeBron's boys, Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith, far more money than they're worth. He picked up Kyle Korver. He picked up Richard Jefferson.
Wait, what do you think the
He's
number
done
is
everything.
now? What do you think it is so far?
Luxury tax
No,
wise?
luxury tax and salary.
I have no idea.
$210 million
So it's a lot.
for a basketball.
Here's what I would say about LeBron. That I would pay much more attention to this if LeBron ever said the following sentence.
What?
Quote, I intend to spend the rest of my career in Cleveland, unquote. But he has not said anything close to that.
You don't do that until you.
He's letting it lie out there. Right. He's letting it lie out there that he can go, which I think he's going to do. I think he's going to go to the Lakers. That he's going to go. So if I'm Dan Gilbert and I don't get that commitment from him,
Why do I
got
need
think
to do
about
this? I agree with you.
Yes.
I think both things are true. I think they are falling further behind the Dubs.
I know you do. You think they're going to collapse?
They got rid of the GM, which you said they didn't have, and then they lost Jimmy Butler. See, LeBron is not going to go in the office every day and work on the Jimmy Butler deal, which is what you said he was a GM. No, David Griffin did that, and now they don't have that. So you know what? They are falling further and further behind the Dubs.
But this is
I'm going to tell you something right now.
This is about Dan Gilbert.
It ain't going to surprise me if the Cleveland Cavaliers are a 53-win team.
Yeah.
They only won 51 last year and sort of go and.
The Houston Rockets, another NBA team, are for sale. Not a super team, though.
No, not quite.
That's surprising because they just signed Chris Paul to go with James Harden and in the market for Carmelo Anthony.
That would
to
be
make
a super team.
You would think an owner would want to see that through. Speculation is that with the huge influx of money from TV deals and the upwardly mobile prospects of this team, the Rockets could sell for the highest amount of money ever paid for an NBA team, eclipsing the $2 billion paid for the Clippers. Wilbon, is that how you see it?
You and I don't see anything about money because we're not in the money business. If we could be in the money business, we'd be in the money business. But we're in this business.
Not smart enough.
We don't know about this. So I tried to make a few calls. And what people say is this could happen in large part because of the global presence of the Houston Rockets supplied to them largely by a guy who's no longer in a Rockets uniform. His name would be Yao Ming.
So you think someone from China would buy the team?
Well, not necessarily, Tony. The value is pushed up in large part, because of the international relevance of the Rockets, who get enormous numbers everywhere. And these teams aren't just sold based on their domestic value. There's an international quality to the NBA, like soccer, that the NFL doesn't even have. Baseball has some of it. But it seems, from what I hear, that this is very possible, and I think that would surprise you, doesn't it?
It does, because I think that the main reason they couldn't get $2 billion is because Ballmer's not going to buy it. Because right around the time that Ballmer bought the Clippers for $2 billion, here's what happened. The Bucks went for $550 million.
That's a lot.
The Hawks went for $730 million.
That's a whole lot. The Hawks
aren't
half as valuable as the Rockets,
let alone $2 billion.
They're not half as valuable.
You know what Les Alexander bought this team for? $85 million 24 years ago. So
one of
he's
my favorite
cash
owners
in
in the league, Les
He's
Alexander.
going to cash in. $2 billion seems high to me.
It seems high to me, too, but
let's take a break. Coming up, they face each other tonight. Who would you rather have, Bryce Harper or Mike Trout?
What's your answer? We can just skip that segment. Lonzo Ball was the MVP of the Summer League. Didn't even play last night, but was a teammate a bigger surprise?
Who's that guy?
That guy's good. Who is
a
rookie?
Time for toss-up, or as I call it, cakewalk. What's first?
Are we eating cake?
Toss-up. They play tonight. Which player would you rather have, Bryce Harper or Mike Trout?
Okay, the answer is Mike Trout. As good as Harper's numbers are, Trout's numbers are slightly better, but they are better. Now, I have to say, I would take Harper because I watch Harper every single night, and because I think that Harper, unlike Trout, wants to be a star, covets being a star, and understands the entertainment value of baseball more than Trout. So, I mean, if pressed, what I would say is I'd rather have Trout. I'd rather watch Harper.
One guy plays in Los Angeles. One guy plays in Washington. So let's not talk about star stage.
No, okay? It's do you want to be a star?
One guy averages 308, 35 home runs, and 100 runs better than the other. Your guy, 285, 31, and 89.
Right.
He's better in every single
Did you hear me say that?
Star. He's a bigger star.
Do you pay attention to the show?
Did I say that? Los Angeles. What are you saying?
Nobody watches him. Next.
Really?
Toss-up, more pleasant summer league surprise for the Lakers. Lonzo Ball or Kyle Kuzma?
All right, let's understand something. Kyle Kuzma is a lovely pick. He's a nice addition to the Lakers. He's a great find. Nobody had heard of him until yesterday.
That's why he's a
But
bigger
the
surprise.
answer to all your Lakers questions is Lonzo Ball. Because Lonzo Ball, the Lakers have wrapped themselves in a flag of Lonzo Ball, and if he stinks, they're dead. So you can have
That's not the question.
You can have 20 Kyle Kuzmas. Lonzo Ball's
He's not
the
an
guy.
answer to the one question posed by your own logic. He's not a surprise. They knew he was going to be great. They drafted him second overall.
A lot of people were afraid he wouldn't be great.
No one out there, meaning Magic Johnson, was afraid he wasn't going to be great. They knew he was going to be. This kid Kuzma, and I've watched every Laker Summer League game.
Gonna be great?
No, he's going to be a guy that they go, oh my God, he's a surprise.
Again,
he's going to be a role player
Lonzo
and a
Ball,
contributor.
the answer to all Lakers
rotation
questions.
guy. He's like the
Next.
answer to that question.
Toss-up, more likely to win the U.S. Open. Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal?
Both of these guys are geezers. Like, honestly, Federer actually is a geezer.
36 by the time they tee it off
and yet,
and flush
the
it.
last three, all the majors this year, they've got him. Federer went to Wimbledon, didn't drop a set. Nadal went to the French, didn't drop a set.
Yeah.
Just for statistical purposes here, Federer has won the U.S. Open 5 times, but the last time was 2008. Nadal won it twice, last time 2013. They've never
met.
Never faced
That's
each other.
insane.
So to answer the question, I don't know.
The answer to the question is
I
Federer.
don't know.
Federer's better on, there's 2 surfaces. Federer's just better. We know where it is that Nadal owns Federer, and they're not playing it on that. The U.S. Open was on clay for about, 4 years?
For
78 through 82,
yeah.
something like that?
On clay?
On clay. On clay,
Oh,
not grass.
I don't know.
The answer is Federer, who is better on that surface. He's better in that
but Nadal
venue.
won more recently.
Yeah,
Nadal
but
won that
Nadal,
tournament more
he's
recently.
hurt a lot.
Next.
Last one, toss-up, more likely to win the British Open. A first-time winner or a previous major winner?
The last 7 majors have been won by first-time winners. The youngest was Jason
Newbies.
Day. The oldest was Sergio Garcia.
Newbies, who you got?
Henrik Stenson was a first-time winner last year here. I've got a repeat winner. I got the guy. I got Phil Mickelson. Because none of his kids are graduating from high school this week, and he's actually going to show up with Federer skipped one and won one, Mickelson.
I'd love to see a guy who hasn't won like Lee Westwood. Maybe the best
Ricky
guy out there
Fowler.
who's never won a
Lee
major.
Westwood, 'cause
Fowler's
he's
got
British.
some
That
time,
would be great.
And because he's British.
Yeah.
I sort of think Sergio may pop up again.
Well, he's won.
He's won, and he wouldn't be a first-time winner. But I think I'd like to see Lee Westwood, which would continue that streak, and it would make it 8. But I don't think he's
Who do you
gonna
think will win? I just said
Sergio's
Phil will win.
going to win.
So you think Sergio will get 2 this year?
I do.
That makes him player of the year.
Would.
Okay, that's it. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Cam Newton's team may have a new GM.
And my Cubbies go for 5 in a row tonight. Big night, Tone.
It's a big
night in hot Atlanta, where all they do is build stadiums and they only sell them out when Chicago teams come.
You know what's
they
a big
can't
night?
sell it out otherwise.
Harper against Trout in Anaheim.
Yeah, one guy's a big
Where are they
star.
gonna- are they in Anaheim?
The other guy's going to get there and see the bright lights.
Are they
and
in
go, "Oh."
Anaheim? Not Los Angeles.
They're
You
in
keep
Anaheim.
saying.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Happy time, people. Happy 60th birthday, Sir Nick Faldo. With the British Open about to start, we acknowledge that tournament was Nick Faldo's breakthrough. In 1987, Faldo won at Muirfield with a final Sunday round of 18 straight pars to beat Paul Azinger and claim his first major. Eventually, Faldo would have 6, 3 Masters and 3 British, and shed the name the British press tagged him with, Nick Foldo.
Well, I guess the tag was premature. If the guy would go on to win 6 majors, I mean, seriously, don't you love hearing him on TV?
He's very, very good.
Terrific.
Very good. Happy anniversary, Don Mattingly. On this day 30 years ago, the Yankees star first baseman tied Dale Long's Major League record when he homered for the 8th consecutive game. In 1993, Ken Griffey Jr. matched that streak. No one else has in the last 24 years. Wilbon, from 1984 to 1989, Don Mattingly had 6 straight seasons that looked like first ballot Hall of Fame.
He was the best player in the game, arguably, for that short stretch, and the injuries would never allow him to return.
You don't think he'll be in the Hall, do you?
It doesn't look like it.
Javi trails Carlos Correa. The Astros All-Star shortstop is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a torn ligament in his left thumb. Correa originally injured the thumb on a headfirst slide into home on July 4th and re-injured it last night on a swing and a miss. Correa is hitting .320, 20 homers, 60 RBI. Well, when the Astros are up 15 and a half games in the AL West, so how big a deal is this?
And they're only 2 games behind the Dodgers. So they must be a super team.
Is it a big deal?
They must be.
Is it a big deal?
Of course it is. You want to have, like last year with the Cubs, the big league, get your rotation together, get guys rested, take a look at what you've got and plot it all the way as far as you can.
You know, your boy from Northwestern, Joe Girardi, thinks they should outlaw
the head first slide. You know what? He's building up a case with all these guys who get injured. Although the great Pete Rose, Ricky Henderson, did they ever get injured that way? No. Not for long.
Well, not that we know of.
Not that we remember.
They injured other people by smashing into them. No errors today. Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Manu Ginobili, is reportedly returning to the Spurs for a 16th season. You got to be surprised.
I am. I thought the way he went out and the ovations and the hugs and all of it, it seemed like he was going. I'm glad he's back. Kendrick Perkins wants back into the NBA after sitting out last season. Reasonable to have Perk back?
No, he's an immobile center who doesn't score, and everybody in the world is shooting threes.
Oh, thank you for that.
Not going
That's
to
really
happen.
uplifting.
Paul Pierce signed a short-term contract with Boston so he can retire as Celtics. You like when they do that?
No, I just think Paul Pierce can still play. If he was on the Wizards last year, he'd have helped them. I'm the only one who apparently thinks it's including Paul. The NFL Network reports Panthers owner Jerry Richardson met with Marty Herney about an interim GM role. That's a great fit, is it not?
Richardson fired Herney. We like Herney. He was a sports writer in D.C.
Yeah.
Let him get a long-term deal. Last one, Cubs have now won 4 in a row. Do I hear 5?
We got to score like 12 runs tonight. Lackey's got to hit the reset.
We're out of time. Trying to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Big game.
And I wear my
I'm Mike
badge.
Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. Are we in solidarity?
We are.
Should I wear an afro
the
tomorrow?
Surf and Crab in Lewis, Delaware. Shout out.